Hello and welcome to Goa 365 Straightforward. Cybersecurity is something that has been affecting our generation much more than it ever has before. And today with us we have Jude Pereira, a 26-year veteran in the field of cybersecurity. He is a managing director of a well-renowned company and he's here with us today to explain what exactly is cybercrime and how does it affect us on our day-to-day lives and how we can actually help ourselves in avoiding situations where we could be victims of this sort of crime. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Okay.
It's a pleasure
So to
to be
start
back.
off, could you give us a brief of what exactly is cybercrime? Like, how does it really affect a business or a person in our kind of our digital generation, as we say?
So cybercrime has been there for a very long time. It's just that it's been more effective and more constructive during the last few years. And moving forward, it's only going to be, very well orchestrated and very well targeted. So in the cyber terminology, if you really have to kind of look at the top cyber crimes from a commercial or from a business aspect, ransomware is something that's targeting most of the global countries, global organizations. You have zero-day attacks, you have denial of service attacks, you have phishing attacks, malware attacks, and the list can keep going on and on. On the other side, for day-to-day people like us or novice people, we use social media on a regular basis, and knowingly or unknowingly, you could either be targeted, or you could be followed, or you could be trapped with all these applications. So one has to be really careful and very particular in terms of how and whom you're sharing your credentials or your data with.
Okay, but if you see as a point of suppose if I was a business owner, how exactly would I be targeted by a person who is committing the crime, the cyber crime? How exactly would he go about in targeting a business? Suppose say I am a healthcare system or I am a hospital and I run the security systems for the hospital. So how exactly and why exactly would he target a system such as, say for example, a medical system?
So there are multiple reasons, organizations are targeted, and the most easiest reason is brand identity. So today, if someone goes to buy a phone, what's the first organization that comes to mind? It's iPhone. It's
Yeah.
Apple. So imagine if Apple gets hacked tomorrow. It's just about the website getting hacked. The credibility of that brand is at stake, and they lose market share, they lose customers, they lose revenue. It's a major impact. So not necessarily all the time the attacks are around financial impact. There is brand identity, there is targets, there is financial, there is espionage, there is one-to-one, there is politics. They want to bring down a particular person. And again, going back to examples of what you just said, hospitals, they are an easy prey because all someone needs is the username and password of a nurse, of a doctor, of a receptionist, and you can literally get, if not thousands, millions of records of patients.
Yeah.
So it can be as simple as that.
Okay, but say for like now we have major institutions like we have the police, we have the healthcare, and we also have other government offices that store a lot of public data. So which of these are more susceptible to crime, cybercrime in general? Like if you go to see which sort of the genre would have more data that is vulnerable to such crimes? Could you have enlighten us with some sort of?
You'll hate me for saying this, but all of these departments are critical, and data is the gold. As he said, the next commodity globally is data.
Data.
Everyone is after data. So whether it's government organizations that have got our records in simple terms of my name, my email address, my physical address, my PAN card details, my Aadhaar details, that's it. You've got me. And within the country, whether it is for applying for services or whether it's for voting or whether it is for any purpose, you have one person but multiple identities. Why? Simply because of data theft. Again, going from education aspects, a lot of data can be manipulated. When you go for criminal records, a lot of data can be deleted, and then there is no. So even if you conduct deep forensics, there is no evidence that you would get against a lot of these situations or incidences that happen. So any organization, regardless of the type or the vertical, and especially governments, all the governments have to secure their data. The most important thing is who, what, where, why, when.
Okay, but if you take example for the Indian government, do you think our security systems are in place, or is there a lot of improvement that can be done, or are we close to achieving that sort of security here in our country?
The answer is that the Indian government has really taken it seriously, and there are a lot of measures that are already in place, and I can confidently say that we are secure. Cybersecurity, unfortunately, is not like a one-stop shop. It's an evolution, it's a cycle, it's a
Yeah.
journey. You got to keep optimizing, you got to keep updating, you got to keep up to time and trend, and be ready for what's going to happen. It's not something about the past. So proactiveness is very key as far as cyber risk and cyber threat is concerned. But I feel very confident. We ourselves, as an organization, work very closely with the Government of India and with the top financial organizations in the country. So I'm very confident in the measures. Of course, there's always room for improvement. There is lots that we can do. But I would say globally, I would rate them very high as far as a lot of other countries are concerned.
Okay. Now, coming to a more local level, to an individual level, how exactly are, like, now when an institution is hacked, like you said, it could be either for the brand or for monetary, apart from monetary benefits. What about when an individual is targeted, maybe for his personal data? How is it exactly that individuals are identified and hacked?
This is the sad part of the cybersecurity industry, because as far as commercial aspects are concerned, businesses are concerned, governments are concerned, we have a lot of security solutions that are put in place. But as far as day-to-day, normal people are concerned, they don't realize that a mobile phone is like a ticking bomb in their hands for many reasons. Okay, so if you see, statistics tell us that every human being spends at least 60% of his or her time on the phone. And there are so many things that happen. So take, for example, let's start with Facebook. Everyone's on Facebook, everyone's on WhatsApp. A classic example is you want to flaunt about yourself. You want to tell, you want to talk more about who you are, what you do, where you are. You're literally putting out everything about you out there. If someone envies you, all he's got to take that data, manipulate it, and he can really have the best or the last laugh with you. So that's the first thing. In WhatsApp, you get a lot of messages, like the common messages, oh, you've just won yourself a lottery, or you've just won yourself a gift. Click this link for further details. Now there are two things that happen in clicking that link. One is I'm getting your further details free of cost. But second is I'm getting control of your phone. Okay, so now I not only get your details, but I get your complete, contact address book.
But is it really that?
I'm open to, loads of people from your phone.
But is it really that easy to access a phone? Like, don't we have like different sort of security systems in place to stop this, or is it really that easy for some a cyber criminal to really get access to your phone via a link or maybe a QR code?
So the straightforward answer is yes, it is quite easy to hack. It's not about hacking the phone, but it's about getting the information, which is close to really hacking the phone. Because here it's about cybersec awareness. So most importantly, whenever you click on a link that you receive from someone, it's very important to validate that link. It's very important to look at the domain. It's very important to understand the registry before you click that link. But again, I would say there are only 30% of people that are literate to that level that would link. Excitement is there with the rest of the 70 people that they click that link and they call that detonating, and you can get that information. So you don't need to be very smart. You don't need to be a professional to really do that simple hack.
Okay, since you've been in the field, I'm pretty sure you had some experience in ways how people are hacked or they are, victims of cyber crime. can you tell us how some ways that people have been, affected, or how they have been targeted, like individually especially, like how they have been targeted? What are the tricks that criminals use to lure or convince people to maybe click on a link, or maybe send some sort of send their data over, or even give access to them via QR codes? Because this has been quite common, where people have asked, like, donate so and so money through a QR code, and then people realize a lot more money has been deducted than they were hoping to send. So can you like tell us exactly, like, some ways how people have sort of tricked their victims into this crimes?
It cannot be funnier where I have to say that I myself get tricked on a regular basis. Okay, and the most recent was when I was back home in London, and I had someone calling me from India using a UK number and telling me, sir, you had an accident 3 days ago, and your insurance company has informed me about it, and if you don't help us to help you, you will have a £5,000 fine. And I'm like, from where did you get this information? From where are you calling? And then the more you go digging deeper, you understand how vulnerable they are. Or simple things like ask them their office location, and they are stuck. So that's one example. Another example is again where someone hacked my own Facebook handle and photoshopped it and kind of pretended to be me and sent a lot of vulgar information to all my peering friends. But fortunately, a lot of them realized it, and they didn't take note of it. Okay, so these are classic examples that happened with me. But again, when you look at the country at large, whether it is young youth where they are friendly to each other and they get cyber bullied, it's like, if you don't marry me, I'm going to put up all these photos online. My question to those youth is, and then the sad part is that ends up in people committing suicide, murders, all of that. My point is, let them put those pictures up. It's not the end of the world. Don't give in to all of that. Another classic example is ransom, where they say, I have got all information from your laptop, and if you don't give me $2,000, and this is my GPA number, or this is my GPA details, I'm going to, your laptop is going to crash. But let the laptop crash. It's not the end of the world. But these threats are only growing day by day. Whether you use TikTok, whether you use WhatsApp, whether you use Facebook, whether you use Twitter, we are all vulnerable at all times.
But when you go to see, like you said, like when someone is bullying you, cyber bullying, or threatening you to do something with your information, what kind of laws are there to protect a victim in these kind of circumstances?
That's a good question. To be honest, I'm sure there are laws in place, but are there people really taking that seriously? I doubt. And I would take an example of myself first. When this incident happened of Facebook, and when this incident happened of this insurance company, when I tracked both these, unfortunately, they both came down to India. Okay, one came down to Delhi, one came down to Orissa. I myself tried to contact the cyber center, the cybercrime center in Delhi, and believe me, it was futile. I was not able to kind of send emails. The biggest joke was the website would not come up. Okay, so this is the sad part. This is the sad part, that nobody really wants to take the onus on them. But I can tell you, like in the United Arab Emirates, where I am at the moment, in London, we literally have numbers, we literally have email addresses, you literally have people that you can contact, talk, and they are eager to have all this information. So we, organizations like myself, work with organizations like this to save public at large, at least wonderful youth and people, children. Today, the last incident I had was like of a 12-year-old boy being bullied in school. It's ridiculous.
But do you think, like, age also plays a matter? Because now it's like, very common to find like school students, are very active on the internet, and they don't really understand the consequences of, accessing some websites or links and all. Do you think that, these kind of cyber education of the risks that are involved should be, more into the system as comparatively as it is right now?
100%. 100%. The moment our kids touch the first gadget, they should know what they are entering into. Classic example, my own son, he's 7 today, but he had his first iPad when he was 2, 3. But he doesn't know what's happening. So yes, you have parental control in the start, but the moment they are 5, 6, oh, your parental control has gone through the roof. They know exactly how to overcome that. And then you want the kids to get smarter. So now there are two aspects to it. Again, I'll take my son as a classic example. He spends a lot of time on Roblox. He spends a lot of time on Minecraft. Two wonderful games to play with, because you know what? Even before his father can spell metaverse, he's already in it. Okay, with Minecraft, he's building the next universe, he's building his next country, he's building his next business. But what happens is, there are a lot of buddies, there are a lot of friends, there are a lot of people that coexist with him, and unknowingly, they kind of ask simple questions. So what's your name, where do you stay, how you are, and it all starts from there. So again, when you say an age, this is the lower side of the chain. I have had people in their 70s and 80s bullied by younger lot of 40s and 50s, claiming to get married. They have like all the hunky-dory, lovely talks on WhatsApp, on Skype, on video calls, and finally it ends up with, I will marry you if you give me this, or I will do this if you give me this. So I think cyber is something that we have to live with. It's like our daily lifestyle. There's no age group for being vulnerable. There's no age group for being attacked. It's right from the young to the old.
Yes, I agree. Especially when you say like the older generation, the senior citizens, they are not as well versed as the younger generations with technology. Isn't the technology we have right now developed at exponential rate in the past 2 decades? So how would the older generation be educated? How would we go around helping them? Because they have been victims of especially financial crimes, where they are sent links to pay, and they don't really understand it, but they do want to. But when they go to pay someone, or someone seeks help from them financially, and generally they tend to help. So how would we go around, how would the younger generation help their parents or their grandparents in such situations?
I'll take a classic example of what's happening in London at the moment.
Yeah.
The older generation, just because they are old, they are not vulnerable. Just because they are old, they are not. Don't think that they are not alert. Okay, and in the community centers, in the local, in the local dynamics, like in the local boroughs, as we call it there, they have a lot of these meetings, and there is free cybersec awareness programs given to them, and you will not believe. They are so eager to educate their peers. So maybe in our borough, we would have like 100 people that are above the age of 70. All it takes is 20 of them to attend this program and share this information with them. And it really works. I have seen children coming to these people and getting cybersec aware. So it's very instrumental and augmental in how this information is given across to age groups of different. So you can have it in our local libraries, we have it in the local community centers, we have it in schools, we should have it in programs as they are entering government organizations, your own organizations. That awareness should be really across all verticals, that we can start pushing this message to.
Okay. Since now we understand it's people are easily targeted, whether be it links or QR codes. But how does one validate now? Suppose someone sends you a QR code, says this is the payment link. How would you go about validating whether that QR code is really from the source? Now say even when we order something online, now I mean it's not very uncommon to know that someone could have access to whatever messages you receive, and they send you a QR code which is a fake one, and once you scan it, they withdraw money. There have been cases where 50,000, 1 lakh has been withdrawn while the payment was supposed to be done for a few hundred rupees. So how exactly does one validate that? Are there any ways that at an individual level that we can really at a glance know that this does not look to be reliable?
100%. The moment the QR code is given to you, you don't transact. You scan the same QR code and try to see the information that you get. Okay, so you can literally scan that code and validate that code, because Behind every code, there is data information, there's domain information, there's source and destination information, all of that. So before you transact, validate the code, and most importantly, understand in the transaction, is the party that you're going to send money to, has that person really instructed you to use this particular code and this information? So whenever you have to transact, ensure that you have all the information prior to getting the code. Getting the code is the easiest. Validate with that person. Make sure you receive the code from a trusted source. Okay, and the same thing, instead of a QR code, a GPay is more secure.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think try avoiding a lot of QR codes and use other methods where you can trust.
Okay, since we are close to finishing a segment, can you tell us exactly how an individual on a day-to-day basis can, stay safe and avoid being a victim of such kind of crimes? Be it whether when you upload your information online or whether you are filling out a form, like how do you stay safe on the internet?
This is the most important aspect, and again, whenever I talk to people, the logic that they have is either ways our information is on the internet. So everybody knows everything about us.
Yeah.
Why should we worry? Why should, the Caradam attitude?
Yeah.
I think we should stop that. We should stop that, because I can give you thousands of examples where we are being victimized and targeted on a daily basis for different aspects. So the most important thing I would tell every individual, regardless of whether it's a kid or an elderly person, never give personal information to anyone until and unless you trust. The fundamental logic is trust no one. Okay? So even if your uncle, your aunt, your brother, your sister, your cousin has to ask you, who you are, what's your passport number, what's your visa ID, what's your PAN card, what's your Aadhaar card, what's your address, until and unless you are not sure who that person is, for what he needs that information, what is he going to do with that information, keep quiet. Because the next most expensive commodity in the world is data. And it's your data.
Okay. Well, it's really been wonderful talking to you, and I really hope that people start realizing the importance of cybersecurity, how to save themselves, because right now it's like when you have like crimes such as murders and thefts, so like someone breaking and entering is considered as a major crime, and people are worried about such sort of things, especially in our state here in Goa. Like it has been a rumors like crime is on the rise, but when we think about cybercrime, it's not really given a lot of attention. Like it's not even reported that widely, though it is happening on almost a daily basis. So exactly when a crime does occur, should a person's first reaction be to like whether to fall, what do you say, how would I put this, whether to agree to the terms that the person who has been bullying them or is committing the crime to fall into the ransom, give in to them, or whether it is to just take the hit and be careful next time, or is it to go and report and seek help from professionals?
I would say go report and seek help from professionals. Never give in to anything. We at our level are telling countries, nations, governments, don't get into ransom. But if you don't do your homework prior to being attacked, then you're vulnerable. For youth, for people, don't give in to all this, because there are multiple ways where you can get to the bottom, you can get to the source, and the person can be taken to task. We had a couple of tries to the state government in Goa where we could assist and do a lot. All I can do is only hope and wish that they start taking this seriously and at least have the basics in place of understanding the crime rate, understanding what verticals are being targeted, what are the kind of threats there, and who are the people. See, fixing it and getting a remedy is secondary, but at least creating that awareness, giving people that kind of comfort, giving that, being able to attend to all this is a great satisfaction by itself. And I think a lot of crime rate will be reduced just by informing people in power, people with authority. A lot of this can be put to stake.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Sadly, we've run out of time, and this is all that we could discuss today. and we hope to have you back on the show very soon. So, thank you so much for giving us your precious time, sir.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. And keep watching Goa 365.